Everything we thought we knew about Gen V just got turned upside down. Episode 5 didn't just end with a twist. It ended with a game changer that changes how we see every character moving forward. And if you were shocked in those final moments, trust me, you're not alone. Let's break down exactly what went down, piece by piece, and why this ending might be the most important moment of the season so far. Episode 5 builds tension from the very start, setting the stage for the shocking final act. The episode doesn't waste time, it dives right back into the chaos left by the fallout of the previous episodes. We see the characters pulled in different directions, their trust in each other breaking down little by little. Marie struggles to balance her role as a leader, while still coming to terms with her powers and the burden of responsibility that comes with them. Andre continues to wrestle with his father's legacy, which casts a shadow over every decision he makes. Cate is caught in the middle, torn between loyalty and the guilt of past choices, while Sam remains the unpredictable wildcard, never fully trusted but always holding the potential to change the game at any moment. The tone of the episode feels different, more urgent, more desperate. You can almost sense that everything is pushing toward an explosive reveal. Throughout the episode, the writing drops hints that something big is about to happen. Characters have moments of doubt, conversations are filled with hidden meanings, and the atmosphere at Godolkin University feels heavy with secrets ready to explode. The school itself, which has always been a backdrop for control and manipulation, now feels like a ticking time bomb, waiting for one spark to set it all off. As we move through the middle of the episode, small cracks in the group's fragile alliance begin to show. Misunderstandings grow into arguments, and arguments turn into outright mistrust. What once seemed like a team is now fractured, each character battling their own demons while questioning the motives of the others. And in the background, the shadow of Vought looms larger than ever, reminding us that the company is always several steps ahead, pulling strings in ways the characters haven't even begun to realize by the time we reach the last 15 minutes of the episode. The pacing quickens, and the storytelling becomes sharper. Every moment feels loaded, like it's preparing us for the shock that comes in the final scene. It's not just about the fights, the betrayals, or even the emotional struggles. It's about how everything we've seen so far connects to the revelation waiting at the end. And when that revelation finally comes, it completely redefines what we thought this season was really about. The final moments of Episode 5 don't just hit like a surprise, they feel like a storm that's been quietly building all season. The energy shifts the second we step into that last sequence. The setting is darker, the pacing sharper, and every glance between the characters feels loaded with unspoken truths. You can almost feel the ground shaking beneath them, as though the world they thought they understood is about to collapse. It begins in silence, which makes it even more unsettling. Silence in a show like Gen V isn't just absence of sound, it's a warning. The calm before something violent, something chaotic, something that will leave the characters scarred. We see Marie walk into the scene, her face carrying the weight of everything that has happened so far. She is no longer the confused student from the start of the season. She has grown harder, sharper, and more cautious. But in her eyes, there is also fear, because she knows the truth is finally close. And the truth always comes with a cost. Cate is the next figure we focus on, and this is where the tension really snaps. She looks like she's been carrying a secret too heavy to hide any longer. And the way the camera lingers on her makes it clear, her choices are about to tear the group apart. Cate has been a character caught between loyalty and betrayal, between protecting her friends and obeying the forces manipulating her behind the scenes. And in this ending, we finally see that struggle explode. The reveal that she has been working with Vought in ways the others never expected doesn't come as a loud confession, it comes through the quiet horror in her friend's eyes as the truth spills out. Sam's reaction is perhaps the most volatile. He has always lived on the edge, his emotions unpredictable, his loyalty uncertain. In this moment, when the truth about Cate surfaces, his response is raw and violent. He doesn't hold back, and his outburst sends shockwaves through the group. This is where the fragile trust that held them together finally shatters. His fury isn't just about betrayal, it's about the years of manipulation and pain he has endured. The reminder that they are all pawns in a much bigger, darker game. The staging of the scene is clever. The environment mirrors the emotional breakdown. Lights flicker, shadows stretch across their faces, and the entire space feels unstable, as if the building itself understands what is happening inside it. This is not just another conflict, it's a fracture that might never heal. The use of close-ups pulls us directly into the pain of each character, making us feel the betrayal, the fear, and the rage as though we are standing in that room with them. Then comes the biggest shock. the reveal of Vought's hidden experiment. Something hinted at in whispers earlier in the season but now laid bare in brutal detail. We learn that Godolkin has been more than just a school, it has been a breeding ground for something monstrous. A place where students were never more than test subjects dressed as heroes and the truth is horrifying. The friendships, the rivalries, the competitions were all distractions from the real agenda. Vought has been experimenting not only on the students' bodies but on their minds, shaping them into weapons to be unleashed when the time is right. The ending doesn't give us relief, it gives us dread. We see the group staring at each other, broken and lost, and we realize that the real enemy isn't just outside. The real enemy has been inside the walls of Godolkin all along, pulling strings, watching, waiting, and worse, the enemy has been inside their own circle, hidden in plain sight through Cate's divided loyalties. The camera lingers on Marie one last time before cutting to black. Her expression is a mix of determination and horror, as though she knows that this was only the beginning. What makes this ending so powerful isn't just the reveal itself, but what it does to the characters. This isn't just a plot twist, it's a breaking point. Trust has been shattered, secrets are out, and nothing will ever be the same. The episode leaves us on a cliffhanger that isn't about physical danger, but about emotional destruction, and that, in the world of Gen V, is always the deepest cut. The ending of episode 5 doesn't just leave us shocked, it completely rearranges the emotional landscape for every major character. What makes this twist so effective isn't only the reveal itself, but how it reshapes the way each character sees themselves, their friends, and the world around them. The fallout is not just about secrets being exposed, it's about trust being shattered and identities being questioned. The characters are no longer students trying to find their place, they are broken pieces on a chessboard that Vought has been controlling from the start. Let's start with Marie. Up until now, Marie has been fighting to balance her role as a leader with her personal struggle to understand her powers. She has been the character who wanted to believe in something better, who wanted to see hope in a place where corruption seemed to run deep. But after this ending, that hope is gone. What she experiences in the final moments is more than just betrayal, it's a realization that the system she trusted to give her a purpose has been lying to her from the very beginning. Her blood powers, once a source of shame, are now her greatest weapon. And the way the camera frames her in those last seconds suggests a new kind of Marie, hard and focused, and no longer willing to play by anyone else's rules. She is no longer asking who she is, she's deciding what she's willing to do. And that shift will define her next moves. Then we have Cate, whose role in the ending is the most complicated. Cate isn't just a villain, and she isn't simply a victim either. She embodies the gray area where morality bends under pressure. Her betrayal cuts deeper because it wasn't driven by malice, it was driven by fear, guilt, and manipulation. She has been carrying the weight of her choices for a long time, and in episode 5, that weight finally crushes her. But what's fascinating is how her confession or exposure, depending on how you see it, creates a paradox. On one hand, the group sees her as a traitor who sold them out to Vought. On the other, viewers can't help but see the broken girl behind the mask. Someone who has been used as much as she has been guilty of using others. Cate's storyline after this moment is set up to be one of redemption or total collapse. The question is whether the others will ever forgive her, and whether she even deserves it. Sam is perhaps the most unstable piece on the board after the ending. His rage during the reveal was not just a reaction to Cate's betrayal, it was an eruption of every suppressed emotion he has carried since his introduction. Sam is the one character who has always been treated like a lab rat, a ticking time bomb that Vought could unleash or abandon at will. His violence in this moment shows us that he cannot separate personal betrayal from systemic abuse. For him, Cate's secret is just another reminder that he has never truly been free, never truly been trusted. And this makes Sam dangerous in a way we haven't fully seen. Andre is caught in the cruelest position of all. His father's shadow has always loomed over him, shaping his choices and haunting his self. But this ending forces him into a new crisis of identity. With Cate exposed and Marie struggling, Andre has to decide what kind of leader he wants to be. Does he become the hero his father wanted, or does he embrace the truth that heroism in Vaught's world is nothing more than a marketing campaign? His silence in the final scene says more than words ever could. He is the quiet thinker, the one who absorbs before he acts. And the betrayal cuts him in a way that's less explosive but equally damaging. His trust has been destroyed, and the next step he takes could define whether he becomes a stabilizing force or another fractured soul in this broken group. Even the supporting characters who aren't in the spotlight during the ending feel the ripples of this moment. The students of Godolkin are no longer just classmates, they are survivors of a system that has been exploiting them from the start. Every alliance, every friendship, every rivalry suddenly feels like it has a darker edge. Because the foundation they stood on has collapsed. Vaught's manipulation has finally reached the surface. And now every character must face the truth. They are not free, they never were. And the cost of fighting back will be higher than they imagined. What makes this ending so brilliant is that it doesn't give us clean answers. Instead, it leaves every character standing on unstable ground. Marie becomes the reluctant warrior. Cate becomes the fallen friend. Sam becomes the wild card. And Andre becomes the question mark. The group is no longer united, and that fracture is more dangerous than any external threat. Because when trust dies, alliances fall apart. And when alliances fall apart, enemies don't need to destroy you destroy yourselves. This is the genius of Gen V. The real battle isn't just against Vought, or even against the corrupt system. The real battle is within the characters themselves. And after episode 5, that battle is only just beginning. The ending of episode 5 doesn't exist in a vacuum, it ripples outward, connecting Gen V not only to its own storylines but also to the much larger, blood-soaked world of the boys. And that's exactly what makes this moment so chilling. Every reveal about Godolkin University, every betrayal between the students, and every hidden experiment exposed in the finale isn't just about the characters we're following now, it's part of the same twisted ecosystem that gave us Home, Soldier Boy, and the entire corrupt empire of Vought International. Episode 5 makes one thing crystal clear. Godolkin isn't a spin-off playground. It's the breeding ground for the next generation of heroes that Vought intends to unleash on the world. And that connects directly back to the chaos unfolding in the boys. Think about the reveal of Vaught's experiments. Up until now, fans suspected the school was shady. But the full scope of what's happening behind those polished halls is staggering. Students weren't being trained to be heroes, they were being conditioned, tested, and weaponized. This connects to the boys in a massive way because it mirrors what we already know about Compound V. That the drug is less about giving people powers and more about creating controllable assets. Godolkin is essentially a factory, and episode 5 confirms it. It's not about education, it's about mass production of weapons that look like students. And who controls the weapons? Vought. Always Vought. This is where the parallels to Homelander come in. Homelander was Vaught's crown jewel, the perfect product. But now, we see the company preparing for the future. Godolkin is their insurance policy, a way to create not just one Homelander, but an army of loyal, engineered supes who can be used at will. Episode 5's ending hints at that terrifying possibility, and it raises a crucial question. Will these students become the next generation of superheroes? Or will they become something much darker, something even more dangerous than the monsters already running loose in the boys? The betrayal within the group also echoes the larger themes of the boys. In that universe, trust is rare, and betrayal is practically guaranteed. We've seen Butcher betray Huey, we've seen Homelander betray the entire idea of heroism, and now we're seeing Cate betray her own friends. This parallel reinforces the idea that the cycle of corruption isn't just at the top with the 7, it starts early. By the time these kids graduate, they're already broken, manipulated, and morally compromised. And that makes the crossover between Gen V and the boys feel not only likely but inevitable. There are also subtle Easter eggs sprinkled throughout the episode that tie it back to the boys. References to Vaught's PR machine, mentions of the 7, and even small visual cues remind us that this isn't a separate story, it's a puzzle piece that fits into the larger picture. Episode 5, in particular, feels like the bridge. The discovery of what's really happening at Godolkin could easily spill into the main series, where Butcher and his crew are desperate to expose Vaught's crimes. Imagine the impact if they learned that an entire generation of supes was being raised in secret, conditioned to obey. That's not just a side plot, that's a war waiting to happen. What's even more fascinating is how Episode 5 deepens the theme of power as corruption. The boys has always been about the idea that power doesn't just corrupt, it destroys. In Gen V, we're seeing that idea taken to a more intimate, personal level. These students aren't billionaires or celebrity supes, they're kids manipulated before they even had a chance to decide who they wanted to be. Episode 5 shows us how corruption doesn't begin when you're at the top, it begins in the classroom. In the training, in the lies you're told when you're young enough to believe them. This connection to the boys makes the whole universe feel richer and more horrifying, because it proves the corruption is systemic. And let's not ignore the possible crossover setup. The way the episode ends, with the reveal of Vaught's experiment and the destruction of the group's trust, Feels like groundwork being laid for something bigger. Could we see these characters show up in The Boys Season 4? Absolutely. In fact, Episode 5 makes it almost certain. Marie's hardened resolve, Sam's instability, Cate's fractured loyalty, all of these arcs are too big to stay confined within Godolkin. They feel like seeds planted for a much larger harvest. What Episode 5 does brilliantly is expand the universe without losing focus. It ties into The Boys while still giving Gen V its own identity, the school setting, the youthful characters, the moral confusion, all of it feels fresh. But by connecting it back to Vaught's larger plans, by showing us how deeply the rot runs, the show reminds us that everything is part of one story, one universe, one nightmare machine run by a company that thrives on blood, lies, and control. In the end, the bigger picture is clear. The world of The Boys is getting darker, bigger, and more interconnected. Episode 5 doesn't just tell us what's happening at Godolkin, it tells us what's coming for everyone. And if this is just the halfway point of Gen V Season 2, the storm waiting at the end could shake both shows to their core.